day, Happy Tillman Day, it was every single time I walked in the staff room. I was at the Roxy when it started seeing Happy Tillman Day. Marcus.
So we'll maybe wait. I see Ryan just pulling in, so we'll wait for him to get in here.
Are we on? Are we recorded?
Yes, I would imagine they can hear us online.
We can hear you loud and clear, guys.
I figured you could. Okay, I will now call this council meeting to order on September 11th at 5 p.m. And I will turn to Councillor Kathleen Morkover for the land acknowledgement statement.
In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge with respect the history, spirituality, and culture of the Anishinaabeg, the people of the Three Fires, known as Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi Nation, who have inhabited this land from time immemorial. And further give thanks to the Chippewas of Saugeen and the Chippewas of Nawash, now known as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, as the traditional keepers of this land. May we also recognize the Métis and Inuit whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. May we all as treaty people live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples. Last month, my spouse and I went on a wilderness hike at Cape Croker in Nayashinaming. This cultural experience was like no other I've experienced. Our young Anishinaabe guide introduced us to the natural and cultural wonders found along Ginnebec-Mekons, which is the Snake Trail Boardwalk that winds through the forest to the edges of an active beaver dam and lodge and out to the shoreline of Georgian Bay. We learned about First Nations culture, their deep connection with nature, tasted fresh cedar tea, and heard some of the stories of Indigenous teachings. Excuse me. These stories reveal much about Indigenous beliefs, their ways of life, social structures, and traditions. One story we heard in particular stood out to me. It was a story with purpose, and it was also a cautionary tale. Indigenous peoples have lived off the land, and their survival has been dependent upon communal cooperation and sharing of food and other resources. In times of scarcity, an individual may turn inward, keeping food and possessions for himself. This story teaches that such people may become monsters or wendigo when the spirit is corrupted by greed. The moral that this story teaches is that if you think of yourself only at the expense of others, you are opening a gateway to an evil that will consume you and others. This story serves a purpose. It promotes a sense of unity, reminding us that we must always work together and support others if we hope to survive and prosper as a society. I see the relevance of this story and these teachings in our own society, be it in our own little communities where we live, or a township as a whole, where communities that are thriving are the ones that are taking care of each other. Excuse me. We see the significance of this story and its lesson in our council roles, as we work together not to advance our own causes or for personal gain, but setting aside our own personal needs and objectives for the greater good of our township. This lesson and these values also reflect a worldview in which our current decisions and actions take into account the well-being of future generations. Storytelling is the backbone of Indigenous knowledge transfer, and it serves to connect individuals and communities to their place and time as well as each other. As we move towards this month's National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, I encourage you all to seek out opportunities to engage by reading some of the stories that represent Indigenous cultural beliefs, values, custom, history, relationships, and ways of life. We have much to learn.
So thank you very much for that. Moving on to approval of the agenda, are there any additions to the agenda this evening? Seeing none, the recommendation is that the agenda be approved as presented. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Day, is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, you may declare at any time throughout the meeting if one should arise. Minutes of previous meetings. The recommendation is that the minutes from the Special County of Grey Joint All-Council meeting from August 8th, 2024 be approved. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Winters and Councillor Shoaldice. Is there any discussion on those minutes? Done. I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. The next is the minutes of council meeting from July 17th. So the recommendation is that the minutes of the council meeting held on July 17th, 2024 be adopted. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Coburn, Councillor Thompson, is there any discussion? I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Does any member wish to make an announcement? Seeing none, we have no public hearings, delegations, or items that are on the agenda. Any person who wishes to appear before council regarding an item on the agenda shall make written application to the clerk by 3 p.m. the day of the meeting. To register, go to www.georgianbluffs.ca/delegations or call the clerk's office at 519-376-2729 extension 603. And for items that are not on the agenda, it's the same, only register by the Thursday preceding the meeting you wish to speak at. And this evening, we have a delegation from Monica Singh Soares, Life Directions Marketing Business Engagement Specialist. And I understand Monica is on virtually, so thank you for being with us, Monica, and I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just wanted to double check that my tech is working and you can hear me okay.
Yes, we can hear you. And I should just point out, you do have 10 minutes to provide your comments.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. So like you said, I just wanted to say good afternoon or good evening rather to the Georgian Bluffs Council, staff, residents, and guests. And thank you for the opportunity to present today. Thank you, Chair, for preparing actually myself to come on with your wonderful words regarding the Indigenous topics that you have touched on, and that, yes, we must continue to collaborate with one another for things greater than ourselves, which is part of why I'm here for our delegation. Again, like you mentioned, my name is Monica Singh Soares, and I am a counselor. Many may know that with Southgate, but today I'm here as a business engagement specialist with Life Directions located in Flesherton. And I'm here to speak to you about Light It Up Ending, which is a campaign dedicated to raising awareness about disability inclusion in the workplace. And hearing, all the great things that you just said, I believe that this will really touch on how important it is we work together to help solve one of the issues we have in the North, which is retention issues in employment. We do have a presentation. I'm wondering if maybe the staff wouldn't mind just to kind of get that up there. I have different slides ready. Thank you so much. You have an amazing staff, I have to say that. So Light It Up for Ending, if we can just go over to slide 2, and I'm going to move a bit quickly through that. our mission at Life Directions Employment is dedicated, again, to promoting diversity and inclusion in the workplaces. We partner with businesses to offer tailored employment solutions that enhance hiring and retention, improve disability awareness, and connect employers with local job seekers who face barriers to employment. And if we move on to slide 3, for job seekers, we transform abilities into career opportunities by providing recruitment, training, and retention. So yeah, we could go over to slide, the next slide there. Perfect. Thank you so much. So we have for job speakers, we just, like I mentioned, transforming abilities into job opportunities. For employers, we recruit, train, and retain qualified employees. And then we have a career resource center, which is available to anyone in the community free of charge. And if you move on to the next slide, we'll see something called ODIN. So Ontario Disability Employment Network is a province-wide organization that collaborates with businesses and employment service providers to create opportunities for job seekers. So if we go to the next slide, we will see that ODIN spearheads impactful campaigns like Light It Up, driving the evolution and future of disability inclusion in the workplace. And next slide, we will see here the collaboration. So I thought it makes sense to understand how we all are working together. So our partnership with ODIN empowers us to leverage their resources and promote inclusive hiring practices, ensuring that businesses have the supports they need to build diverse and productive workplaces. So this is where you start to see our connections. We have a province-wide organization coming down into the municipal level of a service provider using their resources in order to help facilitate different programs right here locally. If we go to the next slide, we will see impact of disability inclusive hiring. So what we want to understand is that inclusive hiring not only transforms lives, but also enhances the workplace's success by increasing productivity, engagement, and profitability. It drives cultural change, it strengthens brand reputation, and ensures businesses remain competitive. And the next slide, we're getting to the fun part now, which is NDEAM. So we can see here a staggering statistic. It says 22%, but I did a recent research and it is actually 27% of 1 in 4 Canadians that would have, or more than that now, a disability. And you can see a little picture there of Canada lit up. So, and I picked this background to kind of give the idea of lighting up purple and blue. So this is kind of where we start to see where the campaign could work in spreading that awareness in such a pretty small way, effort, but a big impact in the community. So NDEAM is an annual October campaign promoting disability inclusion in the business and workplace. If we go to the next slide, we can see there that that's Brantford City Hall. They were the first ones to ever light it up, and just wanted to make sure to put it in there first. And we go to the next slide. And it's a one-night campaign, October 17th. People can light it up for the whole month of October or just the day itself or both. So we see here 147 communities and counting, which has actually increased already. The next slide, we will see here 700 plus locations and counting, which is also increased now. And the next one is about the colors, I believe. Oh, 45 federal buildings, that's actually increased as well, that are lighting that up. And in the next slide, we'll see here the colors. I thought it was important to understand what we're doing. So significance of colors. Purple symbolizes creativity and cooperation, and blue represents trust and professionalism. These are qualities essential to Light It Up campaign. And the purple color is the one that, if there's only one that you can choose, that's the one that ODIN has asked to be the one to use. So if we go to the next slide, and we're actually getting to the end of it, my presentation, I like Transformers and I like trucks. So I picked this picture because I literally thought it looked super cool, and it's lit up. So my question is, are you next to Light It Up? Let's take a look at the next slide, and we can start to see, well, there's a video here. I'm not sure if we have time to play that or the ability to. Oh, we do. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, so while we're getting the sound working, this is just basically the pictures that they're showing, talking about October 17th. Yeah, it's every third Thursday, every year. And we have hundreds of locations, small businesses, corporate towers, and famous landmarks in hundreds of big cities, small cities, all the way around, rural communities across Canada, to be part of something that's much more than one night lighting event, to be part of this movement that sparks continuing conversations about disability inclusion in businesses and employment and in our communities. So it's an amazing event. You can see here, this is 2021 when it started, 2022 started getting bigger, 2023 we're even getting bigger. And it's a real great thing to bring the community together. And that's the Toronto sign. So that's pretty much the video. I know the audio wasn't there, but that's okay. I think we get an understanding. Case is part of Odin Mentorability. There's so much things, Jobs Ability Canada. There's just so much involvement. And that's perfect. We can probably go to the next slide. Oh, yes, perfect. Thank you so much to your wonderful staff. So we just have a few more slides left. Just getting started. So Orangeville has already come on board. They're going to be proclaiming. Town of Blue Mountains have come on board. I just found out right now the municipality of South Bruce has come on board. Hanover, yesterday, I believe, or last week, confirmed they're coming on board. We have the Chamber of Commerce coming on board. We have Bright Shore, all 6 hospitals lighting it up. And so West Grey, we did a delegation. We're waiting to hear back. We did Grey County. So we go to the next slide. It's just kind of showing, Shawnee's Shores. We're going to be talking to them. Obviously, light directions. The next slide. So this presentation I provided has already grown from the one I submitted for the delegation. Shawgeen Mobility, which is our disability transportation service. Amazing service that's offered. VPI Employment Services. They have 11 branches. They're looking to light all of them up. Southeast Grey Support Services. The Chamber of Commerce. We have another Chamber of Commerce through Hanover that's coming on board. In the next slide, we could take a look here. Yeah, we have collaborative efforts like I was mentioning, and one more slide. Let's see here. Yeah, so this is really important. Well, this is really great, Monica. How do we get involved? Well, there's 3 ways. You could do all or one, whatever works for Georgian Bluffs, respectfully. So you can proclaim the support. You can light up a landmark. You can light up anything, your town hall, whatever you're used to that you think would work well. You can proclaim the support online by sharing your successes. And you can also do a proclamation and just call October 17th or the month of October National Disability Employment Month, whatever the council should wish for that. So those are 3 ways to get involved. It really brings everybody together. And I think in times that we're in, we need to light things up a bit and kind of bring the community together. And the next slide, I think we're right near the end. And thank you for your indulgence. Oh, I like these 3 pictures. So I like the Starfighter that was lit up. I like jets. And then the Cabo Tower, that's in St. John's, and Telus Tower, which is in Toronto. So I just wanted to show like different ways that it can be done. It can even be as simple as putting lights around your window and just saying we support National Disability Employment Awareness Month. And in our Northern Ontario, we know what we face compared to other locations, and we want to get people hiring people with disabilities and not just be focused on people with disabilities to get volunteer positions. We can look at people with disabilities to have full, wonderful working lives and help answer our employment shortage issues and our retention issue. And the next slide, if we take a look there, and as you can see, I'm very passionate about it. It's something that just for doing it for a job. This is really near and dear to my heart. This is our contact information. I welcome anybody to contact me, Odin, and Kristen O'Sullivan. She's our wonderful fearless leader, and she's entrusted me to spearhead this, and we've been having great success this year. So I wanted to thank the council. Thank you, Chairwoman, for your time and allowing me to share this amazing Light It Up initiative.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
Does anyone on council have any questions for Monica? Go ahead, Councillor Coburn.
Monica, thank you for your presentation. I don't have a question, but I would like us to support this cause. It is also near and dear to my heart. And I know of at least 3 businesses within Georgian Bluffs, and there's likely many more, who do hire individuals that are differently abled. And as a municipality, we go out of our way to promote our businesses. I think it would be wonderful to highlight those organizations and businesses that do hire folks with some challenges, perhaps in a press release. I'm not sure how the lighting would work, but I definitely think that we should support this. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Coburn. Councillor Thompson?
I would support Councillor Coburn's comments. I was, question for staff, could we do something with that board at Shell Lake Arena? That was my curiosity.
Feedback, Carlton, absolutely. We're somewhat limited on our ability to light up two street lights, and we can definitely put something up there for October the 17th that reflects on the month. And just looking at the schedule, we have a council meeting immediately beforehand, and we can certainly do something in terms of a press release and some sort of statement if council's keen to do so.
Excellent. Any other comments from council? Okay, so we do have a motion on the floor. So if there's no further discussion, I will call the. I was taking it as Councillor Coburn moved and Councillor Thompson seconded. Sorry. I was making an assumption there. I shouldn't have done that. Yes. So I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Good. And thank you, Monica.
Thank you. Thank you, Council.
If there are businesses you'd like us to specifically, please feel free to drop those in an email to me, and we'll definitely we'll work that.
Thank you. Okay, so we are now moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone wishes to have pulled from that consent agenda? Councillor Coburn.
9.1.3, 9.1.4, and 9.3.8.
Councillor Winters.
If I can do 9.5.3, please.
Any others? Councillor Scholz.
May I please pull 9.1.2? Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Nine point 3.3 is one that I wanted to pull there. Okay, so see if I can get this one right. Recommendation that Council of the Township of Georgian Bluffs adopt the consent agenda for information as circulated, less items. 9.1.2, 9.1.3, 9.1.4, 9.3.3, 9.3.8, and 9.5.3. And that all the remaining items contained therein are hereby approved. So could I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Winters, Deputy Mayor Pringle. There's no further discussion. I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Okay, so the first one, Councillor Scholz, 9.1.2.
Oh, sure. So 9.1.2, that's the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks, and Treasurers of Ontario. This is the advocacy update about the Municipal Elections Act and the provincial government. The changes they wanted to propose was just improving election processes, making them more transparent, accessible, and efficient. But the reason I pull it is because I thought that they were proposing us introducing a framework, and I thought that it may actually help staff at Georgian Bluffs. It says that it would better suit the municipal operations and alleviate pressure from staff, ensuring that during election period, things are more manageable and less resource intensive. So I wanted to propose that we adopt this or make a motion to move this or put this in front of staff if it's going to help staff come election time.
Okay, thank you. And I will turn to, is this the deputy CAO on this one or the clerk? See fingers pointing at the clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't really have much to comment other than the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks, and Treasurers of Ontario have been working on this advocacy work for some time. At this point in time, there haven't been a lot of councils that have passed a resolution in support, and this is, them sort of pushing it back out to see if they can get council to support this call to action. Most of the updates relate to federal legislation changes to combat foreign interference with elections. It also speaks to the need for increased privacy and protection for voters. In addition to that, they're hopeful that changes to the legislation would make voting easier and more accessible and easier to understand for those who vote and candidates who are interested in running in the election.
So there's definite value in us supporting this to help it with the next election. Okay, Councillor Shoulders, do you want to move that motion?
Yeah, sure. I just thought if it would help staff, but yeah, I'll move it, sure.
Okay, so Councillor Shoulders has moved to, do I have a seconder in that one? Councillor Coburn, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Next item, 9.1.3, Councillor Coburn.
Thank you, Mayor Carlton. So this is a call from the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus and the rural municipal leaders to support the Solve the Crisis campaign to address homelessness and mental health. I'm not sure what the extent of homelessness is in our township, but I strongly suspect we are not immune. And I do see this, as well as the mental health crisis, as something that we can all get behind and try to solve. So I would hope that council would support a motion to support the Solve the Crisis campaign, but also supporting sending a letter to Premier Ford, as it says here, to further underscore the need for social and economic prosperity review.
Excellent. And you would move that motion then? Do I have a seconder on that? Councillor Day, any further discussion? Any other comments from council? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. 9.1.4, I think that's you again, Councillor Coburn.
It is, and I'm sorry I don't maybe understand this one as well as our reps on the Grace Solville Conservation Authority may, but in reading the document, I feel as though I support this change, but I look to our Conservation Authority reps to perhaps add more context.
Okay, you want to speak to that one?
For sure. I don't believe we need to do anything with it tonight. I think the decision has already been made at the Conservation Authority level, and this is just for agent purposes and perhaps to get the word out there that hunting is no longer permitted at West Rocks and the Potawatomi Conservation Authorities. Both both parts of the Conservation Authority are close to an urban area. There's walkers, hikers, dog walkers. The usage conflicts with hunting, so it felt like a safer decision to stop hunting such close to such urban areas, especially for West Rocks, which is part of the municipality of Owen Sound, and hunting within that Conservation Authority is a conflict with their actual bylaws. So that was a very easy decision for the Conservation Authority board to make. But I'd be happy to answer further questions if you have any. I might need to do a little bit of further reading to refresh my memory, but it was a quick conversation with a lot of agreements at the Conservation Authority board level.
I think you've said it very well. It was the idea that there was hunting allowed on properties that were in very close proximity to urban areas where it shouldn't be. And the city of Owen Sound does not allow hunting within their boundaries.
And a memorial forest in the Potawatomi area. If you're not familiar with it, people can purchase a tree. There's one memorial tree at Eagles Falls that's planted for everybody who's being remembered that year. And also a tree is planted in the memorial forest, which is quite a lovely wild area. And if you're honoring a loved one, hunting is not necessarily a great combination of activities.
Okay, so as Councillor Day said, I don't think we really need a motion there other than to accept that report. So if, Councillor Coburn, would you move that one just to accept the report for information? And Councillor Day will second. There's no other discussion. I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. 9.3.3 was me, about the lithium batteries. To support that resolution that's coming from the Township of Otonabee, South Monaghan, and I think also through Stratford as well. Regarding the importance of safe use of the lithium batteries. And I think it also went into the fact that they're being imported from other areas as well. And there should be regulations for importation and sale of safe use of those. So with that one, I would wonder if we should be turning that over to ITFD or looking to staff maybe.
So that's through you, Mayor Carlton. Just reading through the letter. It perhaps doesn't provide a direction or a request. There's not really a motion in here. Quite up to the club. I think we could probably write in support of the letter issued by the Township of Otonabee, South Monaghan. And as you say, supported by Stratford, but I don't believe there's a motion or anything that we contained within the letter, so we could write just in support.
Okay, thank you. So I would need a mover and a seconder on that item. Councillor Thompson?
Well, I'm just curious, there's not a lot of information there, so I don't really know, we're supporting safe use of lithium batteries?
Go to this one.
I believe,
us more
through you, Mayor Carlton, I believe they would be asking for regulations.
Well, that's my curiosity. So we
Yeah.
pulled this one.
So
Do
there's
we
the
want
two
to be
together.
clearer, per se? So are we actually, should we be clear about what we're supporting?
So if we go to the other letter that's from the Township of Otonabee, South Monaghan.
Yeah.
We also call upon all levels of government to enact regulations for the importation, sales, storage, and use of non-OEM or ULC certified lithium-ion batteries.
So it has more than the resolution. What I'm wondering is if we support that rather than the resolution.
Oh, right, no, because what number is the autonomy or the other township when it, Councillor Thompson?
So if you go to the first one, it's the second.
Second attached.
Yeah.
Through you, Mayor Carlton, I believe Councillor Thompson is suggesting that rather than supporting the resolution, we pass in support of the original motion, we support the original motion.
It just seems to me to be a bit
Yeah.
more purposeful than what we're doing.
Yeah. You're right. So a mover and a seconder on that one. Councillor Winters? I have a seconder. Oh, Councillor Schulze? Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Okay. Next item, 9.3.8, Municipality of Tweed. Councillor Coburn, is that yours?
It is.
Funding?
Yes, thank you. This is a call for the province to support funding for small rural municipalities by reabsorbing the cost, the OPP police force back into the provincial budget with no cost recovery to municipalities. And one of the reasons that Tweed states for this, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but it is that we are currently, small rural municipalities are facing insurmountable challenges to both upfront investments and ongoing maintenance of their capital assets. And this one caught my eye because if there is a movement, or there could be a movement towards getting some provincial support to fund our policing, I can't see where there would be any harm in throwing our support behind this and at least asking for it.
Okay, so you would move that motion. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Winters? Any further discussion on that? CEO.
Through you, Mayor Carlton, I may offer a quick comment in respect to this one. So I believe the motion is to reabsorb the entire cost of policing where it's provided by OPP. I note that would create a differential within Grey County, as not all Grey County municipalities utilise the OPP, and this is specific to the reabsorption of the OPP budget.
So thank you. I agree. I have my Georgian Bluffs Township hat on, and my job is to look out for the resources for our ratepayers. Perhaps if by some miracle this actually does happen, perhaps areas that have their own police forces can follow suit.
Any further comments or questions by anyone? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Next item, 9.5.3, Councillor Winters.
Thank you there. Nothing important in the report other than it makes mention that there was an inspection done on June the 18th with a report received on July 19th for a rating of 100%. And I do believe that we had this conversation last year that when the MECP reports for our water systems came up, we were going to bring them back for council's inclusion in an agenda. And I just want to make sure we're not losing that. You know, so blended into the Aqua monthly report, but I remember seeing that come back out into township agenda. If Aqua's received it, I'm sure the municipalities received it. I think those inspection reports are important for the users of the systems to see those.
We'll turn to staff. And we have that report brought forward so that it can be easily read by all the public.
Yeah, they'll be staggered throughout the municipal water systems, but they do come in yearly. So annually they are there, and it's nice for you to see what level of operation oversight and then how we're doing with compliance regulations. I know Saugeen Shores makes a big deal about it with their annual reports. It's brought through for all their social media and whatnot, and it does address if there are operational concerns or management issues. That's where that shows up. So I think it's important.
To you, Mayor Carlton. Thank you, Councillor Winters, for the reminder. I admit it had slipped my mind. Yes, we do receive those reports, and yes, we can table them, and I will collate the ones that we have received to date. Well, collate the ones for the system. We'll bring those back.
Thank you.
Excellent. So do we need motion for direction on that one, or we're just receiving? Just receiving. So a motion to receive. Councillor Winters?
Yep.
Move it, and Councillor Day second. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Moving on to correspondence. We have a letter from the Intertownship Joint Board of Management, resolution in support of expanding the life of fire apparatus. Does any member wish to comment on that one? Seeing none, we are just receiving that for information. I need a mover and a seconder to receive that for information. Councillor Thompson and Councillor Winters. Any further discussion? We'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Committee reports. Committee of the Whole. Does any member wish to pull an item from the Committee of the Whole? Seeing none, then the recommendation is that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on September 4th, 2024 be adopted, including recommendations COW 2024-076 to COW 2024-088. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? The Coburn and Deputy Mayor Pringle. Is there any discussion? If none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Okay, bear with me while I get to the next page here. And staff reports, we have none. There are no bylaws. New business, waste, no unfinished business, sorry. And then new business, waste collection services. This is further to notice of discussion provided by Councillor Winters at the July 17th, 2024 meeting of council. I will turn it over to you, Councillor Winters.
Thank you. I mean, this, I think, is a long time coming. I think anybody here at this table and all of our ratepayers would certainly agree that our level of service being provided by our current waste management collection contractor is subpar. Even again this week, garbage, at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night hasn't been picked up. Yes, there are excuses of mechanical breakdown, staffing, the whole bit. We have a contract with them to do certain work. I don't think we're getting the level of service which we're paying for. And my thought on July 17th was that we as council should be sending a letter. Really should be looking at legal opportunities and where we stand with this as far as getting any rebates for the service level. But it's quite something at 6 o'clock when your neighbors are all standing on your porch because their garbage is still there, and it's repeatedly. It's not just a one-off. We're going to head into a winter season here, and now we're going to have a third excuse to it. Is it equipment failure? Is it staffing? Is it winter roads? This is Canada. This is Georgian Bluffs, and this is not unique. We're not the only municipality going through it. So I think it's time we get our voice out there. Let them know that we're not currently pleased with the level of service. And I think it's important because we're going into an RFP for upcoming service levels. We don't want to be seen as a municipality that just rolls over and will accept whatever comes down our way. That's my piece, and I think I adequately addressed what I've heard. Thank you.
I'll turn to staff.
So, Mayor Carlton. So we certainly have most weeks received calls from residents, and the reality is that there are a number of residents who receive a less than satisfactory level of service. The unfortunate thing is it tends to be the same handful of residents. Our residents who get their garbage collected week in, week out without problem. We do have and we do experience persistent, regular, repeated problems in the same areas. We do address them immediately with Waste Management, our contractor, and they are responsive to our calls. But we do see repeated drop in balls. We have issued a performance letter in the past to Waste Management Services under the current contract that was issued in 2021. And we are routinely in touch with Waste Management through phone calls, emails, and correspondence through the concerns that we get raised by our residents. We have asked for a legal opinion on the existing contract, which is a little on the thin side. And we are going through, as you indicate, a waste management RFP process, which our current contractor is aware is going to be hitting the streets very shortly. And that contract is at the minute about 15 times larger than the existing contract. And that's just a tender and includes a very detailed schedule of performance-related criteria, measurements, and performance-related penalties for CMOs. So we are going to have a very different approach in the future to the one that we have under the existing contract. And as I've noted before in conversations around waste transition, probably a service which looks a little different from the service we have today. So we certainly do recognise that at times our contract's performance has been less than satisfactory and has not met the service levels anticipated by our residents. We are reviewing the contract from a legal perspective. We are regularly in touch with Waste Management Services and would be happy to reiterate Council's frustration with the service level that's currently being provided if that is the direction of Council.
Thank you. Councillor
I would like to put that motion on the floor that we direct staff to pursue that with a letter directed on behalf of council that we're not impressed with the service levels that we've seen in the past. Because it is the same roads, it is the same situation. You know, it's ongoing, right?
Councillor Schultes and then Councillor Coburn. Sorry.
If Councillor Winters is putting up a motion, I would second that motion as well.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Coburn.
Just for the sake of moving the conversation along, that's what I was going to do.
Okay, excellent. Any other comments or questions on this? Okay, so I will call the vote on this. All in favor? It's clear. Next item is Potawatomi Water System Extension Update. And this also was further the notice of discussion provided by Councillor Rick Winters at the July 17th, 2024 meeting of council. Councillor Winters.
Thank you. And again, it was more or less just keep this thing moving down the path that it's on. It's been 2 years since it came up. It was a huge election issue and topic. I do see there is some momentum. I did see there's a notice of request for proposals for engineering services to allow for that. But I just want to make sure that we're still moving down that path. Conversations are being had and whether we're still having dialogue with those users that are going to be affected. It seemed like it had kind of stalled. I realized behind the scenes there's something going on, but that was my intent back on the 17th of July is to make sure that we're at this stage.
To you, Mayor Carlton, to Council Winters and indeed members of council. Yes, lots of work going on in this one. It's not been a ball that's dropped or anything else like that. We've been through a little bit of a quiet phase. As noted, the RFP is currently on the street for the design of the water system extension. There will be some conversations coming back to council through this fall. Yes, the residents have been updated. I am pleased to say I had a meeting with them just yesterday, in fact. And there have been some email correspondence backwards and forwards. So at this point, things are moving along. It's been a little bit quiet. Some of the work going on has been behind the scenes, but as you know, there's an RFP on the street right now. We're welcoming anyone that would like to put in for that. Please feel free to do so. And we're anticipating award of that hopefully later on this fall.
Thank you. So we don't need a motion or anything on there. Perfect. And next item, extension of transportation services to Georgian Bluffs. And this is further to notice of discussion provided by Councillor Tobin Day at the July 17th, 2024 meeting of council. So turned over to Councillor Day.
Thank you. As some of us heard at a community event, there are requests from the community to continue to build more partnerships with Owen Sound for efficiencies and to support those who are unable to travel for whatever reason by car, and look at extending the bus service into the Georgian Bluffs region around the Sunset Strip. So if there has been any progress, it would be great to get an update that we could take back to the community who have been asking about where we are in terms of partnerships for transportation.
So through you, Mayor Carlton, to you, Council Day, indeed, members of council and community that might be listening. This was a request that was brought forward by the Chamber of Commerce for Owen Sound and Georgian Bluffs. We had a joint meeting between staff at both the township and the city and members of the chamber earlier on in this year. That was followed up by a public information and open house session that the chamber organised in late March, early April, to which all members of staff and residents and businesses, as I understand everybody on the Sunset Strip, was invited to by the chamber. The turnout was quite slim for the public meeting, and the request is not advanced any further. So I think based on that meeting, the chamber did not sense that there was a significant amount of support for moving forward with the conversation, and that other avenues may be better explored. At that point in time, I believe there was a new taxi company that started to operate in Owen Sound and some other options that were becoming available. And so the conversation went quiet in the mid to late spring. At this point in time, I should say the city and township are not exploring further options for that extension of transportation.
Thank you. Councillor Day, any further comment?
I'm just processing a little bit in terms of the information that's received. I appreciate the work from both chambers of commerce, and I was not at the public meeting around the issues, so I just. Did you say that the organizations that support those who might the people who might use the bus more than others, like OShare or and the communities, the organizations that support those with less funding in Owen Sound. Were they at the Chamber of Commerce meeting? The request came from a mental health worker, so I don't know if those voices were represented in the conversation.
So that's the Mayor Carlton. The direction received by staff earlier this year was to work with the Chamber of Commerce, the City of Owen Sound and ourselves to explore options for extending bus services to the Sunset Strip. Through the meeting, the Chamber agreed to organise a meeting to explore the demand for service. I don't know who the Chamber invited to that meeting. They indicated that it had included a door drop to every business along the whole of the Sunset Strip and an encouragement for both the business and their staff to be able to attend.
Councillor Day?
Oh,
Okay, Councillor Coburn.
Looks ready.
So I definitely support what Councillor Day is trying to bring forward here, and this is not new, last term of council as well. I know we were approached specifically from CMHA, who serves a population who is in need of transportation as well, but there's also REACH and community living. And I guess my question is, was there not interest demonstrated by our business community because of maybe the timing? Was it held during the day when folks are busy running their businesses? Was it in the evening? Would that have helped get people out? But just to echo, I think what Councillor Day was maybe alluding to is that I think it's important to loop the users of those systems into it as well as the businesses that might benefit from extension of transportation.
So through you, Mayor Carlton, just once again, the direction came from an approach made to the council from the Chamber of Commerce to extend those services. And through the meeting, joint meeting that was held thereafter, it was agreed that the Chamber would identify what the potential use scenario for this would be. It was done on an open basis. I know that they weren't narrowing the window to days of the week or times of day. It was a broad window for use of businesses by staff and by residents along the Sunset Strip. And I believe the meeting was held late afternoon, running into the evening, and it was a drop-in style session. So you didn't all need to be there at a certain point in time. It allowed people to wrap up their businesses, finish work, and then attend, or go before they went for an evening shift or something like that.
So I think that's the meeting that was held at Inn in the Bay, and it was a drop-in from late afternoon through till 7 in the evening, I think. So it did give a good time frame. And the chamber had a variety of answers around, or questions around the room for people to go and answer and put their opinions in. So I think it's really been kind of left with the chamber, and we haven't really heard anything back from them as yet on that. So perhaps we could reach out to them and see where they felt that was going. Councilor Thompson?
I think I'm going to say the same thing you did. Maybe the best way forward here is to get a clarified position from the chamber about where it sits. And then we can make a decision. I mean, I think what my colleagues might be saying is, where can this go? So, I mean, ultimately, if the chamber has said, we did some outreach to the businesses and we didn't get the answer we thought we would, then the question is, that's not really addressing the ridership. I don't think that you're talking about. I'm not meaning to put words in your mouth. But then I think at that point, then we as a council can make a decision. Do we approach the transportation and say, what's the number? Because we've been here before and thought, okay, we've got a number that is to extend transit. It's going to cost us this much. So my suggestion would be, let's give a direction to get a clarifying position about what the chamber's findings were. And then at that point, if we bring it forward, we can make a decision. Do we go to the transit and say, what's the number to extend? That's just mine. my input. So, and that's grounded in a little bit of the history and I think where we're at now. And if I'm mistaken about that, then I stand to be correct.
That's good. Counselor Day.
Please don't be corrected, but I appreciate both comments from both counselors. I just would like to add that the question we received came in July after the public meeting, and the person who was asking the question clearly did not know about the Chamber of Commerce meetings outcomes. So it feels like some communication would be beneficial, and the ridership, I don't know how well has been supported in the process.
So if we were to have a mover and a seconder to give direction to staff to reach out to the Chamber of Commerce to find out what the status after that last open house meeting was.
So in the interest of time, unless somebody gives me a good reason not to, is our direction to clarify the position of the chamber and get a number from a potential transit, or just stop at the position? I don't know. I'm into doing both, and then we come back with an informed.
Through your Mayor Carlton, we can probably generate the number. The number was known in March. It's a big number. It's a big number. So the City of Owen Sound shared that the current routing would not allow, with their current staff and vehicle amount, to be easily able to extend the service because of the timing impacts that has and delays to services elsewhere in the city. So in order to provide service, they wouldn't actually have enough staffing currently to be able to do it. The other point that was made is that the connections within the Owen Sound transportation system are limited, particularly into the evening hours. So in essence, you would be taking somebody back and leaving them in the bus transit terminal without any chance of a connecting route to that point. So one of the challenges that had been flagged is, yes, you could bring somebody back into the middle of Owen Sound, but they have no ability to then connect by any public transit later on in the evening because those systems do not operate. So the number is fairly big because the number includes new vehicles and it includes new drivers. So it is a fairly big number, but we can find that.
Councillor Colbert?
I'm sorry, I'm perhaps being obtuse, but when you say it's a big number, are you saying it would cost too much? Is that what you're saying? Or what is the big number that you're referring to?
So it's fair to say, through you, Mayor Carlton, that the conversation we had is public transportation is not revenue generating, it's not self-financing, it is borne by the tax base. Any extension of services that provides support to our community would be a cost to our tax base. It is possible to do it. It's challenging given the current routing, scheduling, staffing and equipment they use. And the onward connections back from the Owen Sound Transit Terminal have been a point of some concern by users of the system, particularly in the later evening. So there is a cost that would be associated to it, which would not be one that would be covered by ridership.
Thank you. I was just confused by the big number terminology, so I get you.
I think to add to that, sorry, Councillor Day, to add that to that is that a lot of the coming out into Georgian Bluffs were in the evening and Owen Sound Transit stops at 6 o'clock. So trying to run something out in the evening was going to become even more problematic. Councillor Day?
I think it would be good to get the number and to have a transparent, open conversation. Even if we don't end up getting public transit all the way out into Georgian Bluffs, I think we need to make sure people understand why and are fully aware of what challenges exist.
I fully agree. I just want to support that. And I don't think the reason I'm suggesting we get the findings of the chamber is because we don't know them. And the reasons I think we should gather the number is because, I mean, when we say, I don't want to prejudice our conversation. I want us to talk about it in a meaningful way. We have lots of things that are big numbers in our in our budget. We have lots of big numbers. We have to measure the number against service that we provide and whether it's what we want to do. So let's gather the information and then come back and talk about it rather than, scare each other off with things we don't know.
Okay, so I think I have you as a mover.
Sure.
Do I have a seconder? Counselor Day. And if there's no further discussion, I'll call the vote and all in favor. And that is carried. Are there any notices of motion? Seeing none? Oh, sorry. Counselor Day.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't have to make one, but I have a notice of motion about the lawn bylaw.
Okay.
And taking a look at it from a pollinator perspective.
Biodigers. So noted. So next is closed session. Recommendation is that council of the Township of Georgian Bluffs move into closed session at 5:59 PM in the council chambers with CAO and manager of legislative services / clerk remaining in the room to discuss 18.1 personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, open meeting exemption B of section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001, midterm CAO performance review. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Scholz and Deputy Mayor Pringle. There's no further discussion. I will call the vote. All in favor. Carried. Okay, so we are moving next door. So council moved into closed session under open meeting exception B of section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001. As a result of closed session discussions, direction was given to staff. The confirming bylaw, the recommendation is that bylaw number 2024-044, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council on September 11th, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Winters. I will call the vote. All in favor? Is carried. And so we've already discussed next regular meeting should be next Wednesday, September 18th at 5 p.m. There is a special council strategic session for 2025 priorities Friday, September 27th, 2024 at 9 a.m. here in council chambers. If there is no further business, I will now call for adjournment of this meeting. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Day and Deputy Mayor Pringle, all in favor? That's carried. We are now adjourned. Thank you, everyone.